Yes, yes, yes. It is the CastWorthy Podcast, and we are back. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the X Machine, formerly known as the Twitter Machine. Joined today by EJ, Sophisticated Savage, and now VP, who self-proclaims himself the Research King, but refuses to research the reality behind the Democratic sleight of hands. Or sleights of hand, however you pluralize that. It's the 18th of February. We are 1 week post Super Bowl. Depression is setting in because there's no football today. They're trying to fill it in with this All-Star Weekend stuff, which we'll get into. But it's going to be a reactionary pod. There's a lot to react to from what happened last week and throughout the week. How was you guys' week otherwise?
No complaints here. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, no complaints here. I went to a pop-up comedy show last night, which was pretty cool. White comedy on display. It was fun.
Oh, I think I saw that on somebody's timeline or some shit.
Yeah, they have them in various cities. It's basically called Don't Tell Comedy. And it's basically a comedy show in your area, neighborhood, wherever. And you don't know the location ahead of time. And they pretty much send you the day of the location and all of that. You can bring your own liquor. You got local comedians, not really, experienced people, but, some funny stories and a respectful crowd. And they're pretty interactive. So that was pretty dope.
I like it. So how was it?
It was dope. I had a good time.
Buns on buns, or was it that kind of party?
Nah, it was a lot of couples in there. There's a few singles in there, but it was it was just a nice intimate little thing.
Were you in there as a single or a couple?
No, I was in there. I was with my lady.
Oh, okay. All right. You gotta lead with that. I mean, save me the hassle of prying for information.
No, you're just crazy.
Well, spring break is coming, so spring break usually spring break up. The spring break up.
Nah,
VP, did you do anything this week aside from try to make us think that Joe Biden did something for us for student loans? I swear this guy think is 3-card money when he be dropping his gems in there. Talking about some thanks, Joe.
Fuck out of here, man.
When Joe come out with some gold Nikes or you're not even Nikes, they just like, we need some Biden ones. Trump got Trump ones. He got gold Trump ones. If Joe can't catch up to that, I don't know what's going on, man.
The Pander machine. What hat is that you got on there? I've never seen that.
Sylvester the cat.
That's interesting. Okay.
From Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Looney Tunes, huh?
Yeah. Church crowds here. We got them before they go in.
A little early. Send you off with some toxicity to praise for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll get to the politics later because VP don't want no parts again. Spanked. Pause. Early in the morning. It's cold and wet down here in Florida. What's going on up there in Baltimore?
It's a little warm to me. It was cold last night. It was freezing last night. It was like 20 something last night out of nowhere. Like it was freezing, yo. It was crazy. It's warm now though.
It was chilly here. It was supposed to be, I mean, for us it's chilly. It was supposed to be, a little warmer, but it started raining, dropped to like the 50s. I know that's nothing for you, but a 30 degree change, that's the difference, bro.
Yeah, it snowed a little bit yesterday. It was supposed to be a storm, but it just did a little dusting. I mean, it was a little bit more than a dusting. It was a dusting. It's snow on the grass still, let's say that. Snow on the grass still.
If there's snow on the grass, play ball, right?
See what you did there.
I know how you like them gray.
Nasty man.
It was an uneventful week for me for the most part, working, chilling and keeping up with all the weird stuff that took place on Super Bowl. You know, people talking crazy. Did y'all watch the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should we start with the game or should we start with Usher's nasty ass? Let's start with Usher's nasty ass. Since no one wants to chime in. Do you think it was flagrant of Usher to be all over Alicia Keys, or
Absolutely.
those who
Absolutely.
Yo, Usher is a predator, yo. Usher is a predator. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. But they're entertainers, so I get it. VP, how do you feel about it? You'd have to come on and tell us.
I didn't talk to the third wall back there. Go ahead,
I didn't see anything.
He's too mature for us today.
I didn't see anything wrong with the Usher and Alicia Keys performance. You know, like you said a second ago, I mean, they're performers. You know what I mean? Like, they got a song called "My Boo," so you know, for them to perform the song in a way that makes it appear that they're in relationships with other people besides the two people who are singing the song would just make it seem inauthentic. You know what I mean? If you were, you know, if you were watching an adult film and, you know, they stopped prior to any of the action, you know what I'm saying? Like
an adult film, like a porno or a regular.
I watched an adult film last night, a TV show. It's called Traders. I didn't see nobody hugging up and rubbing their ding dong on nobody's wife's buns.
I mean,
yo, Usher's nasty, yo. Usher's,
at the end
you
of
think
the day,
he cleared
right?
that with Swiss Beats?
No.
You know how they got to clear beats, right? You know,
No.
if you're gonna clear a track because you're gonna sample it. Like, if you're gonna sample somebody's wife, do you clear that? Like, you think he cleared that with Swiss?
No, but I mean, Swiss already came out and said he released a statement saying people worry about the wrong shit. Nothing to see here. These are performers. He said the performance was great. I have to imagine that they've been rehearsing that for at least a couple of weeks. Swiss probably has been at some of the rehearsals. So, like, there's nothing to see here.
Now, right?
He's boring, yo.
Thing.
EJ, he's just boring.
Here would be the funny thing, though, right? Because Alicia looked super surprised when that happened. Now, if she came out and was to be like, "Oh, I was uncomfortable," BP would have a totally different argument.
Yo, Alicia Keys looked thick. She looked thick than a mug, though, at the Super Bowl. How long you think she been like prepping for that? Because we've seen Alicia, like we've like we're at an age now and where she came in with her career, like we've seen everything from when she came in and she had the craters on her face and the bad skin to like her full glow up, and like now she's a lot of times she's natural and you still like you can tell she's got a good skincare routine. She did a great job, and of course, you know, she's standing up there like a damn bulldog, boy. Let me tell you something, Alicia. Swiss Beats. Oh my goodness. I would be a little frustrated only because it's Usher. Like, I think that's the key. I mean, I respect Swiss Beats for that, for coming out and saying they're entertainers, and I get it. I do kind of agree with it, but I would like agree with it if it was like, no, not even Chris Brown, because he a predator too. It would have to be someone else. But Usher is known for that. Like, we saw the Keke Palmer thing. We saw, like, every time he had a show, he had a different star up there, you know, that he was just serenading, if you will, violating. And then we saw a video surface this week of when he was performing with Nicki Minaj, and he started banging his head on her butt, and then he stands up and smacks her in the ass. Like, yo, Usher's a wild boy. He's a wild boy, and I think people are just like he came into the R&B and the music world as this,
Darling.
innocent kid, right? Like, and
Mm.
so people I think still look at him like that, but I think Usher, he disrespectful, man.
Nah, I
Oh,
mean, Alicia Keys, it's nothing. I mean, it was
I don't
a
think it's
moment.
nothing though. I don't
Nah,
think it's nothing. I think it's more Usher than it is anything for Swiss to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then again, what does it matter? Alicia Keys stole Swiss from his wife, so there's that.
you're on one today.
I mean, listen, it's reality. In the chat on Instagram, somebody said that first note was crazy.
Yeah, it was. It was. I thought I heard a long time ago she used to smoke cigarettes.
She from the Bronx? Like where's like
She from Manhattan.
well, close enough.
Hmm.
It's the same. Well, she probably did, but I mean, Alicia Keys is she could blow, and I have to assume on a huge stage like that, we haven't seen her in a huge place like that. Aside from, I mean, I think the last time we saw her perform in front of people was during COVID, in when they did the verses. Now, I'm sure she's probably done some small things here and there, but I don't think she's done anything huge like that. And that's a big stage. I don't think she was ready though. That
I'm
first
su-
note, it was wild.
I'm surprised Usher didn't do Lovers and Friends. He had the people there.
He did. He did.
Lovers and
Um,
Friends is a major hit. I'm surprised he didn't do that.
I think he had 13 minutes, and when you talk about trying to get everything to flow correctly, he still found ways. I didn't think he was going to fit. I mean, nobody saw Ludacris coming out. Like there was a possibility, but I didn't think he was going to. I think we talked about it last week. I didn't think he was going to share the stage with these people because that was, that's his moment. But then again,
He did the
he wanted to
ATL thing.
be, yeah, he's the ATL ambassador now. He brought the world to the ATL, the ATL to the world. Is what he kind of closed out with. Um, I thought it was a good Super Bowl performance though. Top to bottom, I really thought it was done well. A lot of people are saying we didn't need as much Will I Am, but I think what people didn't realize is when Will I Am was out there doing his thing, there was a costume change. Like Usher needed to go change and put his skates on and catch his breath a little bit. So that who do you feel that with if not Will I Am doing just some ballad of that? You know, uh, I don't know, but I thought they did a good job, and I thought you saw the mood altogether change, and we see the impact that Little John has on the world. Like I know if it. I was in a living room full of a small living room of people. And when Little John came on, everybody's like, "Oh, it's a party now." So I can only imagine big crowds, that were watching that. And when he comes on, like he's a he's a different type of person, man. I don't know if anybody has had that kind of energy in a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely different, especially out there in Vegas. The shots. I mean, he's got a lot of hits, like the shot song. Anytime that comes on, he's got a lot of joints where Lil Jon is just a party, man. That was a whole movement. When you're talking about a small window of time, you're talking about from like 2004 to like 2009, 10, where this dude had a solid run of hits. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just pretty
From
crazy.
whispering in people's ears to screaming, like that was a
Yeah,
wild run, man. That was a wild run.
absolutely.
Yeah, I thought Lovers and Friends was possibly necessary. That now that that you mention it, but I thought they did well. Where would you rank it as far as Super Bowl performances? I saw people talking about this as the best or the second best, and I think that prisoners of the moment, man. Give them the key, let them out.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say the King, Michael Jackson, definitely up there, number one for me. And the performance was pretty damn good too. But I wouldn't put this above those two for sure.
What about you, VP?
I mean, I remember Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson performing, but I mean, it was so long ago. it doesn't seem like it's not sparking any kind of emotion of like, oh yeah, But the Prince one, that one was just it was different, man. And I think what elevates the Prince one even more is the fact that it starts raining when he does Purple Rain. And like even I'm pretty sure they could have put in sprinklers or something, but like just it happening naturally,
Actual
you know what I
rain.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the atmospherics of it all was just like next level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Prince for me is one of the tops. Michael Jackson is one of the tops. I remember it. I've gone back and watched it, but it was a Cowboys Super Bowl, so there's that. But I thought the Dre, I thought that one was dope. The Aftermath, Dre, Snoop. I thought they did well. That one's up there for me. If I'm doing a top 5 to 7, I have those up there. Beyonce, of course. But I think Usher for me starts to creep into that range. I think he makes top 7 for me. I'd have to go back and look at some more, but there's because I know there's definitely some more that I'm forgetting, for sure. But yeah, I
I
think
mean, the one with Bruno Mars,
mhm.
the Weeknd's joint wasn't bad.
The Weekends
at all.
was better than I think it presented. You know what I mean? Like I thought it wasn't it during COVID? Weekend was during COVID, wasn't it?
I don't know. I can't remember that piece. And then how can we forget about the Tittygate?
Yeah, it was. It was during COVID.
Tittygate with Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
That's up there for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, just because we got to see Janet.
Absolutely.
But Mike
Yeah,
says
and
during Prince's halftime show they were going to cancel it, but Prince said he would still continue and go through with it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Prince.
Nugget. Yeah. For me, like with the Weeknd, what's funny about the Weekends is that I didn't really care for it watching it live, and then on rewatch, I thought it was better on rewatch. And I'm wondering if a lot of people had that same like kind of feeling or whatever, because I don't feel like it got talked about a lot like in that aspect. But now when I hear people talk about it, it's like, yo, the Weekends, oh my goodness, da da da, and it's like it didn't feel like that in the moment, but on rewatch, it definitely felt a lot better than it played live.
Precisely how I felt. Yep. When I rewatched it, I was like, I
Yeah.
was feeling it.
Yeah. I went on I just pulled up Billboard, and
Top 14.
yeah, they got a top 14. They say Prince from 2007 is ranked number 1. U2 from 2002 is ranked 2. Dre and Everybody from 2022 is ranked 3. Beyonce from 2013 is ranked 5. And then Madonna from 2012. I'm sorry, Beyonce was ranked 4. Madonna
4.
from 2012 ranked 5. And then Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band is number 6. And then Lady Gaga is number 7. And they go all the way up to 14, but I'll stop there. And they got Michael Jackson number 8. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Billboard got to do that. They got to they have to pander to to Dwight and them.
I think looking at some of the other ones, they got Paul McCartney in there, and I didn't really enjoy that one just because
Madonna's was fire though. Like Madonna's was fire. That's one that you but it's a little forgettable, right? Like
I don't remember it at all.
Like you don't forget Michael Jackson was there. I think some people forget that Madonna ever did it. I think some people forget. I don't think I forgot U2 did it. Now that you mention it, it refreshed my mind, but it's not one that comes to mind like that when you're talking about tops. But I get it, man. Billboard they got to protect the brand, and they're probably gauging it on different standards than we are as expected.
And if you notice though, a lot of those that they mention are later in time, right? They're like in the 2000s. Mike's is the only one in that top 10 that was in the 90s. So right. I mean, if you think
Mike
about
was
it,
what, 91?
93.
Right?
93. So I mean, if you factor in that it was that long ago, Because if you look at the show that he did, I mean, even for back then, he had the dudes jumping out of the screens on top of the stadiums, So I mean, even then, you would think in the 2000s, if he died in 2009, but if he did something in the 2000s with everything that he might have done by that time, with all the collaborations that he had working up and all of the different people that he's worked with, the songs with Jay-Z, all these different people, that might have been something crazy if we could have got a 2000s Mike Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, I think when you talk about hits, like if Michael Jackson, if you sat him down and said, yo, I need 15 of them things later in his career, it hits differently. Even today, you could put a DJ up there and just play 15 minutes of Mike Jackson hits and get it done the right way. I think they could do a hologram Michael Jackson Super Bowl and people would love that shit. Like that's the kind of star power to me I think Mike has.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, like mostly the people that we're mentioning are like all black artists, which, of course. But I don't mind when they have like the white groups performing. Like I like the I think it was when Linkin Park performed, I want to say. I think it was them back in the mid 2000s or whatever. I enjoyed that. But I knew their music. But like when Paul McCartney or when they have like the Police or Sting or something like that,
who was it that Adam Levine popped up for? Because that was I remember that was a later I remember it being good.
Yeah, that was a later show too. I could tell you it was Coldplay. I think that was 2000.
Oh, that was the year Beyonce was there, right?
Yeah, Coldplay, Beyonce, and Bruno Mars.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a yeah.
Coldplay's fire. Bruce Springsteen, no disrespect to the boss, but he had one of those voices that only like I don't know.
A mother could love.
Yeah, man. I mean, he got a lot of praise for being a great artist, but I mean, his voice, man, sheesh. Did Bon Jovi ever do a halftime show?
I'm not sure. If he has, I don't remember it.
I don't think so. He was just on the Grammys, though.
I feel like that would be a good one.
Yeah. Like when I hear Bruce Springsteen's music, like it kind of like how I'm pretty sure I've told my son this, and I'm pretty sure EJ probably told his daughter. Steve will tell his son this at some point once he gets older. When you're playing something or watching something, and they're kind of looking at you like, you like this, you kind of like you had to be there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's how Bruce Springsteen is, because I don't enjoy his music, but people go crazy over this dude.
Because of Born in the USA. That's all. Like, it appeals to them, because of that. The halftime shows were trash. I didn't get any, warm and fuzzies. I didn't laugh. I didn't see anything that was like, oh, that's the one. Like, did you see any of them that made you feel good about them, the commercials?
Nah, the commercials have been whack for a few years now, and I think it's why I actually mentioned this during the game to the folks I was watching with, and I was like, I don't know if you caught that there was not a single Budweiser commercial. There was not a single Pepsi commercial, Coke commercial. I don't remember seeing a Doritos commercial. And those are usually like the big dogs, M&Ms, right? I don't think I saw M&Ms, and it's why over the last year you get these like crypto commercials and the car commercials. They're still doing the car commercials, which, I guess they gotta, but you're not used to seeing like the powerhouses that we saw like back in the day or whatever. And I think it's why the commercials have gotten whacker. It's because it's basically these like new products, like, hey, come get this NFT,
right?
So they're not that good. I like the Dunkin' Donuts commercial with J-Lo and Ben Affleck. I thought that one was funny. I also like the Dunkin' Donuts released like a longer 4-minute version of that commercial, like showing like all the lead up to it, of like how Ben Affleck is like getting himself worked up and like calling his friends and like popping up on J-Lo in the studio and stuff like that. So, and then it leads to like what we actually saw on TV or whatever. So I posted that one in the chat a week ago or so. But I like that one. And there was another commercial I remember
The
liking.
couch potato one was pretty
right
dope. Who was that? The couch potato one was that? It wasn't Tubi. It was it's another streaming one. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Quick little nugget though. I just quickly read up on Bon Jovi. He's refused to do a halftime show.
Why?
He said he doesn't like sharing the stage and having to collaborate, and there's a lot of demands. And you know, he cited the U2 and the Prince shows like being like super amazing, but he just doesn't feel like it's for him. So
Pluto is who did the couch potato one. I like that commercial. That was a good commercial.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, it's moved in a different direction.
So speaking to the fact of what we were saying about Usher and, you know, all of that, you know, you have to be willing to want to share the stage. I mean, and Bon Jovi was saying one of the main reasons he doesn't want to do it is because he has to share the stage. Who knew?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
I don't think
Bon
that you
Jovi
have to share the stage.
Right. I don't think you have to, but I also don't think Bon Jovi commands the audience to not share the stage. Right? Like if I'm the NFL, if Bon Jovi is showing up, dog, who's coming with? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know, because you got this guy again. We're talking about fan bases, right? And we have to think about that community of people that like that type of music. Bon Jovi is one of the biggest selling rock acts of all time.
Right.
Of all time.
And I think what it may be is that, you know, it could be one of those things. Like I remember that year when the Police or the Eagles or one of them played. It was like in the early 2000s.
Who the hell is the Police?
It's a group called the Police.
The Police. Yeah.
The Police?
Come on.
Yeah. I've heard
of You've heard, and you've heard of them because you're a music person. You probably just don't remember the
yeah, but I remember it was either them or like
Roxanne
or something like that. I can't remember which group it was, but they performed like in the early 2000s, and it was just them. And I remember being bored out of my fucking mind, you know. And I think it's performances like that where the ratings are low, where the NFL says, you know, you probably got to collab, right? But if they offered a thing to Prince and Prince said, yeah, I'm going out there solo, the NFL is gonna be like, cool, because everybody loves Prince, right? If they offered it to Taylor Swift, we talked about, you know, her potentially performing with Usher or whatever, she's going out there solo. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson or you know, like Beyonce, like people who are at a certain level, they don't have to, you know, collab.
I agree. But you brought up the Police, and I mean, they have two songs that are most notable: "Every Breath You Take" and "Roxanne." Very soft, mellow type music. Again, when you're talking about Bon Jovi, and you're talking about rock music, this guy is one of the top selling showmen of all time. Mm-hmm. I'm for certain Bon Jovi could hold down a halftime show by himself.
Yeah, I think now that you think about it. Living on a Prayer, You Give Love a Bad Name. Yeah.
All I'm saying is that there's probably a group of artists that can command from the NFL. I'm not performing to nobody else. You know
I get it. I think he's one of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not one of them. But so I'm just saying, like, it may be one of those things of like, maybe at the time when they offered him, you know, you had to you know, collab. And then now it's probably one of those things of like, they probably got a list of folks, we would love to have this person, and this person doesn't require collaboration. Whereas anybody else who's not on this list, these 10 to maybe 15 artists, they got to bring somebody else in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think at some point he's got to do it, man. Cause he's for them. I think if they're going to get back to the culture for their culture, he's one of the perfect people, because he has some songs that just get you going, like Living on a Prayer, shout, you know, You Give Love a Bad Name.
Yeah, I just
Match.
think when you go through the Super Bowl, right, and you're talking about that 13 minutes or whatever, that I want 8 to 10 good songs, like 8 to 10 songs that's gonna make people be like, jump out their seat if you're gonna do it alone, dolo. And I don't know that while I think Bon Jovi can command a crowd, and you could do "You Give Love a Bad Name." I think what's these dudes' name? Aerosmith has a better chance at it than Bon Jovi. They got them motherfuckers got hits. If I'm going in that route or that range, I'm going to those guys personally. But next year the Super Bowl is in New Orleans.
They did a halftime show in 2001.
Oh, did they? Aerosmith?
Yep. They did one in 2001. Britney Spears. They did. Them and Britney Spears. They did "Walk This Way." Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah, yeah.
I also don't think like somebody like next year the Super Bowl's in New Orleans. I don't think you give it to a Lil Wayne by himself. Like regardless of that run he had on mixtapes and those albums, like a Dolo thing, no. I'm giving it to Lil Wayne if he's making it a Cash Money, Young Money thing, and we're getting Drake and or Nicki. Like you got to have one or the other. Maybe don't get both because there's too many tracks, but I need one of those two if I'm giving it to Lil Wayne if I'm the NFL.
Yeah, I also wouldn't if next year or year after whatever if they swung back the other direction, because I feel like after performances like the Police and stuff like that, it seems like they've kind of overcorrected with hip hop and like urban music and stuff like that, and you haven't really seen any of those performances from like artists that white people may enjoy, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so it seems like they may need to swing back the other direction at some point. I don't know if next year is the year they plan to do it or the year after, but I think they definitely need to consider doing that.
Bon Jovi, man.
I think what? I think Lil Wayne could play into that, because remember he had the rock shit with was it Blink-182 that he did an album with? I think you could.
I'm not saying play into it. I'm saying just go there. You know what I mean?
It has to swing back the other way. Some point.
No, I get it. I get it. I get at some point it does. I just don't know that New Orleans is the time. like New Orleans, the Super Bowl there. I don't know that that's the one that you want to swing back to that. It has a. I mean, I guess everyone goes there, but it has a distinctive characteristic when you talk about New Orleans, especially since Katrina, that you have a vision, you have a visual of what New Orleans is, and it's not the Police or John Bon Jovi. Maybe some people, but the bulk of people ain't thinking that New Orleans is that. People only think of it like that when it's party time. We go there for Mardi Gras and you see white titties. But other than that, people know and see New Orleans as a historically black city, and it is. When you talk about, even if you brought in like Caribbean people, because they talk so much about the voodoo stuff and all of that down there, the black magic. Like I think there's ways to play to New Orleans without forcing that. I can agree with you that there's a time for it. Maybe it's California the year after. You know what I mean? Like you get who did Hotel California? Maybe get somebody like that to come out there. I don't know, but I just don't think New Orleans is the one. I think New Orleans is your opportunity. If it's me, I'm trying to get Drake on that stage. Because it's inevitably going to be Taylor Swift at some point, right? And whether it's next year, the year after, Taylor Swift is coming. We know that. Like they wouldn't put all this emphasis on her. This isn't just to make money during games. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is star power, and I think she's coming. She's getting her little Super Bowl joint.
I don't know any of her music till this day.
Yes, you do. Shake it off. Shake it off. Yeah,
you've heard at least 5 Taylor Swift songs, even if you didn't know they were her songs.
You've heard it, but you don't know it.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Similar to me. That's what I was saying to someone the other day. Like I know I've heard Tay-Tay's songs, And
Tay. That's nasty.
yeah, that's her name, Tay Tay. I know I've heard Tay Tay songs, and if you give me Shake It Off, I know that, but
All right, what's another one? Shake It Off.
I don't.
Wait, what's the other one? Is that the same song? Take something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the same song. Shake It Off.
The haters wanna take.
Yeah, that one.
Take.
That Shake It Off. Okay.
Shake
Okay.
it
Yeah,
off.
that's it.
All right. So what's another one? What's another one?
I would have to Google it, but I've heard multiple.
She don't make
Yeah,
songs for 40
motherfucker
year old
said.
black men. Though.
Motherfucker said, "Yo, you know him," and it's he only named
No,
one
no.
song.
I said you've heard them.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
say
say
you know them because I don't know.
I say you've heard at least 5 Taylor Swift songs.
We don't know what they are though.
I'll tell you right now.
You hear them in the store, like you don't hear them in your car because you don't listen to those stations. You know what I'm saying? And me, I don't listen to stations at all. Everything I listen to now is podcasts or Spotify.
I don't listen to like anything that plays Taylor Swift, but I've heard her songs before.
You also have a kid that's
going
to be graduating high school,
right? And even I'm looking at a list of her songs, and none of
EJ, you should have heard Taylor Swift. You got 3 daughters.
Exactly.
My kids listen to what I listen to. my kids listen to 36 Chambers. they listen to Wu-Tang and Triumph, yo. Like my kids, when ODB comes on, it's like my niggas and niggerettes. Them niggas love that shit. They die when he says that shit.
I can't tell you, for her to be as big as she is today, I can't tell you anything recent. Like I couldn't tell you, I don't even know her album name. Like that's how crazy. I think Taylor Swift lives this musical life the way the Oscars is, right? When you sit down and you see who's winning these Oscars and you're like, where did jellyfish blowhole come from? And then it wins everything that year. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Taylor Swift kind of lives that kind of life in music because she appeals to just the right people, just little girls.
Yeah. But like I said, like I know I've heard multiple of her songs, but I just, like looking at the titles of them, they don't jump out to me.
VP looked at the list and still couldn't remember.
No, there's another one on there I saw called Bad Blood. I've heard that one before.
I need Tay Tay to do a little collaboration,
little urban collab. Yeah,
she gotta get on her Ice Spice collab, and then
Chris Brown.
But then again, you know what? I fuck with Tay Tay because we talk shit about, at least me. I talk shit about Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus.
Heard it, EJ. Bad Blood is the joint that she did with Kendrick Lamar. So I know you've heard that one.
EJ don't like Kendrick Lamar. Like I don't like Kendrick Lamar.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not a Kendrick fan.
But you might have heard it. You probably have. Like we've heard these things. We just don't pay attention to them. Like if you shop in Burlington, you've heard Taylor Swift.
For sure.
That's the reality,
For sure.
But I'm interested to see what the Super Bowl looks like next year. We should probably talk a little bit about the game, right?
Yeah. Miley Cyrus did a couple collab joints though.
I know, but that's why I give her shit, because she came in, she comes in, let me get some of this black money and she's Joe Biden. Panda. That's Miley, yo. Miley popped in. She came in like a wrecking ball and left, yo. She's out. She put the Grammys. She a country singer now. She don't need us no more.
That's wild.
She don't need us, man.
To the game.
To the game. Started off slow. Slow. What do you guys think? Ask each of you what the biggest turning point in the Super Bowl was.
Special teams. That muff punt was major. That muff punt was a huge field position. You giving field position to the best quarterback in the game. Playing, it was a pretty high level defensive game all the way around up until that point.
How about you, VP?
Yeah, man, I thought that I'm sorry, what was the question?
The biggest turning point.
Yeah, I agree that it was the muff punt, man, because like that essentially Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the Detroit San
Divisional
Fran
round.
game about momentum,
Hmm.
and that was a huge momentum swing. You had just forced them into a 3-and-out, and even though you weren't scoring, you were essentially playing keep away, and you basically give them the ball basically all damn near in the red zone.
Mhm.
That was a huge game changer, man.
I think
Yep.
even still beyond that, they could have won the game. They still had opportunities. They still had the game in hand after that. I think the biggest turning point, and we talked about it this week, was on that fourth down where Brock Purdy, it was third and 4.
Hmm.
And they drew up that blitz. And
Yeah.
they were driving. They were driving that whole drive, and it was like, yo, I think even Roma was like, yo, they got to draw something up and stop them here or the game's over, right? And it was the 2-minute warning, third and 4. If they get the first down, game's over, right? And then Spagnola draws up this blitz that I, I I was speechless, yo. I was speechless. I didn't think that they would get on this guy that quick. Pause. And he just threw the ball away and they kicked the field goal. They won, they went up 3. And then obviously, like you guys said, similarly to the punt, now you're giving the ball to arguably the greatest quarterback in, the league today. And he's got almost 2 minutes, minute and 47 seconds or something wild. And all he needs is 3. Really, they probably could have won that game in regulation if Kansas City had been a little more aggressive, but I felt like they were like, fuck it, we got it in our pocket. Throw it out the back of the end zone if you need to. Let's not do anything to lose the game. And they ended up tying it. And then you go into overtime, and now you're dealing with, all right, here, y'all take 3 because we know we getting 7. Like, I just felt like at that point after that blitz, when they tied it up, I feel like Kansas City knew it was there. And I felt like the 49ers, like their shoulders dropped, their whole energy level was on like 1 to me after that, because they knew, like, that this guy is that guy. This reminds me of that year with LeBron, where he was still in Cleveland, where he was hitting all those fucking game tying shots or the game winners from deep, right? And I remember because of Dwight Howard and the Magic, and was watching playoff games. I was in Miami watching the game, and it was Miami versus Orlando. Orlando ends up winning the series long term, but LeBron was just hitting these big ass shots, and there was 2 seconds left, and we like, damn, he's gonna hit this shot. You know what I'm saying? And they had still go length of the court because that's just what LeBron was doing at the time. And I feel like that with Patrick Mahomes, like now, how much time can you give this guy? We saw him do it in 23 seconds or some wild shit.
I think we don't. I've
13,
been saying
13.
I've been saying it
13
all
seconds.
year. I've been saying it all year, and kudos to whoever the GM is there that built this defense, because this defense, when you're talking about cornerback Snead, McDuffie,
Sleeper
uh,
defense, yeah.
those boys, I think, is the best secondary when you talking about man to coverage to blitzing. I mean, this kid from Washington, I loved him as a cornerback at University of Washington. This kid was playing up on the runs. McDuffie, he was playing up on the runs. McDuffie, that's his last name. Am I
Yeah,
tripping?
Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie. He was playing up on the runs, filling gaps. I mean, he was taking on blocks, lead runs, and then he jumped in on that blitz. And Purdy didn't even look on the other side. It was a front side blitz. He didn't even look the other way. He didn't even try to get rid of it on a hot route. And they showed it. They showed it. That defense, man. And I mean, Christian McCaffrey didn't get off that game. Them boys are good, man. I mean, that team is set up, and contractually, that team is set up to stick together for another couple years. Whereas the 49ers, I was looking at something this morning, they've got dozens of guys that probably won't be 49ers anymore. So that's gonna be something to really see.
Yeah, I definitely give their GM, some kudos, but I'm also wondering how much of this is him. Their GM is Brett Veach, but Andy Reid has essentially been the GM until 2017. They draft Mahomes in 2017, and then July of that year, according to what I'm reading here, is when Veach is named GM. So before that, he was like,
But
director
he
of
was a player
scouting or
personnel
something
guy.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so even though he's a GM, if I had to bet, I would assume Andy Reid probably still has control of the roster, but he's probably getting the contracts done and stuff, like handling the money, while Andy Reid is still probably doing the
Well,
player personnel stuff.
his history was he was an intern coach in 04, coach's assistant in 08 and 09 in Philly. So both of these were with Philly. Then he was a scout in 2010, 2012 with Philly. Came over to Kansas City as a pro and college personnel analyst in 2013. So I don't know, man. I think this guy probably is playing a pretty large part. It's probably in tandem. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think Andy Reid is not playing a part. This guy is, one of the best coaches. And a question for you guys to think about is, where does he land? Where does he rank to you guys in NFL coaching? But I do think Brett Veach, he deserves, his credit. He's a young guy too. He's only 46. He started his career with Kansas City 11 years ago.
But
So
that's the
at
thing.
35, he was doing this thing
That's
for Kansas
the
City.
thing. That's the thing, right? When you talk about the college player and personnel, when you look at this roster largely, right? And I'm just talking about defense. Now you talking about a roster that had a Tyreek Hill at one point, who came out of nowhere. Travis Kelce, who was a quarterback in Cincinnati when he first got there, and then later became a tight end. He was not on anyone's draft boards. So you talking about those guys. Then you talking about the Johnson in the middle.
Hey yo.
Hey, yo.
Whoa. Maybe you should not be
about
talking about the Johnson in the middle. Nasty man.
when you talk about the cornerback Snead and McDuffie, who was you got to think they took this kid top 10, I think, or top 20 as a cornerback. So I mean, this is a team that they didn't get largely through free agency. This is a team they built in the draft. So I mean, whether it was in tandem, whether I know Andy Reid didn't have that much insight on who's coming out of college. So I got to give Veach a lot of credit for getting these guys that are coming out of college, where they at. Like, it's pretty spectacular.
I'm not trying to take away from him. I'm just
yeah. Good.
No, we with you, we with you. I rank Andy Reid pretty high though, man.
Yeah. But you also, with Kansas City, you got to think too. They have 3 head coaches as their head coach and coordinators, right? You got guys, Spagnuolo, right? You got Steve Spagnuolo and Matt Nagy, who have both been head coaches, who are now your coordinators, and then they're being led by an Andy Reid, right? And then, I mean, let's not take away from it that they have arguably a top 2 to 3 to 5 tight end of all time, and a top 5 quarterback, or will go down as a top 5 quarterback all time eventually, and arguably the best in the league today, in Patrick Mahomes. So, I think the question was always, are guys going to catch the ball? Are guys, and then they got, Pacheco, who's just is lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? When you see a motor like that, you see a guy who's out there putting everything on the line every single game. How do you not get motivated to play well? You know what I mean? Like, if you're on that sideline, whether it's defense or offense or special teams, and you see Pacheco, this small guy, second-year guy, who's just out there running into walls, how do you not get motivated, to come out there and play those games and win those games? So I think that's where, all encompasses for Kansas City just makes them, a difficult team to beat. And I think they're only going to get better, especially if they redo Mahomes.
I agree. But the one thing I will say though, and Kansas City is getting ready to face this coming off season, is that the same way that Seattle Seahawks team was built through the draft, right? Eventually, those guys got to get paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you got a guy in Chris Jones this offseason who's looking to get paid last offseason. They worked out a 1-year deal, but as good as Chris Jones is, I'm pretty sure you guys probably agree with me. He's probably, I would say, not even probably, he's a top 3 defensive lineman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know where he's at. You know where he's at in pay. He's the 9th highest paid defensive lineman.
Mm.
Yeah, he's
So
out of there. He's gone.
for him, he's like, yo,
Most likely.
He's out of
you know,
there.
and I'm sure he maybe because Chris Jones has already had a 4-year, $80 million deal, right? So he got a big payday before, but he's gotten even better, right? So maybe if like, you know, let's say in the overall contract, they were like 7 million apart. I could see him saying, you know, that's not a huge number, right? And so I'll stay, right? But if it's like I'm talking about getting paid, you know, 5 years, 115, you know, and these guys are talking about, you know, 5 years, you know, 97, like I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So and then also Snead is due this year too. And they can't pay both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and Snead has never been paid. So it's not like he's gonna be like, yeah, I can give him the hometown discount or whatever. Like I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's where if you're Kansas City, right? If you're Kansas City, because you brought up Isaiah Pacheco, he was a 7th round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to Rutgers. He's probably the best pro from Rutgers in a long time. So I mean, if I'm Veach, I'm looking for my next Chris Jones in the draft right now. And
I was gonna say,
dice.
Yep. If I'm Kansas City, Chris Jones is not coming back. Not for what he's gonna cost. Not at his age today, as a defensive lineman. Sure, he makes a difference, and I think he has even more bargaining power on his side because that first game they went out there and lost to Detroit, and then he's like, "All right, guys, I'm back," and then he comes back, and then boom, immediately these guys look like a completely different team because the defense can get off the field. So I think his bargaining power is crazy. And if I'm Kansas City, I don't know that I can make that happen.
And also if you're a guy like a Snead, right? I would put Snead in that same category like a Tyreek, right? I already got my ring. I haven't been paid. Right. And I ain't giving no discounts because you know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get another payday like this or whatever. So I'm trying to get it right now.
And what makes it even harder, pause, is you got these teams, these young teams with so much talent and so much money. Houston has so much money to spend, and they don't have to pay nobody for a couple years because they're living off of their rookie deals, right? Carolina, similarly, they're hoping Bryce Young is that guy, and if he can turn out to be that guy, I mean, they pissed away their first round pick this year, which is going to go to Chicago, which is another team that still has a boatload of money who can make things happen. So if I'm these guys that are coming up on free agency, that's where I'm looking to go. I'm looking at these teams that are young with potential and money to spend. That means Chris Jones. That means L'Jarius Sneed. That means can I go get a Demarcus Ware from or not Demarcus Ware? What the fuck am I talking about? From the Cowboys. Can't remember his name, but you know our right end who's a free agent. Like, are these the guys that I go out and target that are a little bit older? They're going to be pricey, but they're not going to be as pricey as a young guy like a Hutchinson or something who Detroit's going to have to pay. You know, and now I still have my young quarterback. I go out and get a wide receiver, maybe get some older wide receivers that are okay with coming in and standing next to a Nico Collins. Like, I just think that there's places for these guys to land where they can get paid and still maybe get a ring and be those guys in the locker room that make these young guys get them over the hump.
Yeah, this free agency is going to be an arms race, especially with the offensive line piece, because there's a lot of offensive linemen that's going to be available. The tackle position is going to be even more sought after because the top 10 guys, it's wide margin. You got some really good guys, middle of the road guys, and some projects like a Mekhi Becton is one of the top 10 free agents. And, you know, before his injury, he was looking like a monster. And then he got hurt, and then he had to struggle back. And this year, you know, he was pretty healthy. And I think he had to go against some of the best defensive ends, and I think he did the best that he could do. But he's one of those guys where you're going to look at for your team. He's had time at right tackle, and you know he can play left tackle. So a team like the Cowboys is like, oh yeah, we need a running a run blocker, yeah, we'll put him at right, and we'll bruise with him, So the offensive line arms race is going to be pretty crazy this year.
Yep.
Pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
I agree. I mean, like I can just look at a team like us. We only have two offensive linemen under contract right now. So so we definitely gonna be in that race.
Right. I think San Fran is in trouble because they have all that talent over there. And I think VP said it in the chat this week. They have one more year for Purdy before they
Yeah.
have to pay him. So that
Right.
might buy them a little bit of time, but I do still think that they got a lot of guys over there, like Brandon Ayuk, I want to say is a free agent this year.
Mhm.
And while people would question, do they need him because they have a Debo's not a wide receiver. This guy's not running routes. Like if you watch how his plays, and EJ said it multiple times, if you watch the way he plays, he's more of a running back. He's a McCaffrey, right? I think he's a McCaffrey, maybe that runs a little bit better routes. But he runs short routes. He doesn't run deep routes, So you need that guy. I think Kansas City's George Kittle. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think they got people that are free agents as well. And now they're going to be without Greenlaw because he tears his Achilles in the Super Bowl. So he won't be back for maybe all of next season.
Probably
unless he's Aaron Rodgers.
They would hope mid-season, maybe. Because I mean that's 9 to 12 months on an Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
But and then they also don't forget they got to pay Chase Young.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy that you brought in.
I think
you still got
agent, yeah.
You still got racist Bosa over there. I think he's already settled in.
Up. Yeah.
But what about Fred Warner?
I don't know his contract situation. I think he's probably locked in.
I hope so, because if not, they in trouble.
I think they're already in trouble.
And that McCaffrey contract situation doesn't make it easy.
If I'm Purdy, I'm holding out.
Yeah, and that's the thing too with Purdy. Even though Purdy, even though he is due next year, and a lot of owners don't really like to give you an extension when there's 2 years left in your deal. Kind of like what happened with Revis with the Jets, right? But if I'm Purdy, like this is the most leverage that I'm gonna have unless we win it next year. So I may try to force them to the table and ask for a new deal now. Because if they don't make it as far as they do next year, and we're talking about these key free agents that they may lose, the team may not even be as good as it is next year, which means his production goes down. They're going to hold that against them when it's time to negotiate that new deal. So I'm trying to get paid this year.
But I think also it could hurt in that way as well, because let's say he does hold out and it turns out that it's the system, and it turns out that it really is McCaffrey, and like what we're all saying, it is McCaffrey and it is Debo, and it is, all you got to do is dink and dunk and get these guys into a position where they're in the open field. That could hurt him too, similarly if they make a deep run, pause. And I guess it's similar to the Huntley and Lamar conversation where, I said it, and I think a lot of people were saying it as well. Huntley got these guys to the playoffs after Lamar got hurt, but there was a significant difference in productivity and production, 100%. And I agree with you guys there. From when Huntley was in and Lamar was in. Huntley was winning these games off of defense specifically because he was winning them 7-3, 10-7, right? And Lamar was putting up numbers. But I think if Brock Purdy's not there and you still have all these offensive weapons, let's not forget that McCaffrey was the rushing champion this year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they had a sample size of that because there was a couple games where Sam Darnold had to step in, who's also going to be a free agent. But Sam Darnold had to step in, and we were reminded why Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold.
And so, back up.
Exactly. And so if you're looking at San Fran and you're looking at today's culture, right, just with this position, there's a lot of mystery to it. There's not like you can go and say, there is somebody out there we can replace you with right now. There isn't. There isn't a guy out there that they can exactly.
Not young, but you might get a veteran.
They can go. Yeah, you can get a veteran, but I mean, you don't anybody that's out there that's worth talking about. When you're talking about a Minshew, you're talking about a Brissett or something like, or Tannehill or something like that. These people, they're not expected to be starters at
Right.
their
Yeah.
age, and you know what I mean. So you got to kind of say, if you're San Francisco, I need to shore this piece up as a quarterback. You got a guy that has experience. He's shown you that he can do something. So rather than rolling the dice, you gotta go, you gotta lock him in, or either that or you telling me you're gonna draft somebody, but that's gonna be a project in itself. So I think VP is 100% right. This is the best time for Purdy to hold out and say, pay me, because
Yeah.
there's no one else.
Yeah.
And also, and Steve, I just gave you the 49ers free agents in the chat. Also, I think, like, when you look at it from Brock Purdy's perspective, right? Like I said, this is probably the most leverage that he's going to have in terms of negotiating with the team right now, right? And because we don't know what's going to happen. Like, he could get hurt next year, like he got hurt last year, right? The team may not be bringing back people, like an IU, or maybe they decide to keep IU and get rid of Debo or whatever. Who knows? McCaffrey has been injury prone his whole career. He could get hurt. And then we seen what that team was when they didn't have uh um Debo and or McCaffrey, right?
Mhm.
So if his production goes down, he's not going to get paid. Plus, there's some thought out there, and I'm actually in this camp of people who think that the 49ers aren't necessarily sold on Purdy, and they maybe feel like it's a plug and play situation. We can put anybody in here with this offense we got, and they're going to do numbers, right? And so if the team feels that way, I don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm on this rookie deal. I only make 800 grand a year. It's easy to just dismiss me and bring in the next guy. I'm trying to get them locked into me so that way, one, I get paid, and two, I'm here for the long term.
I think they do feel that way. I agree with you. I think the 49ers feel like that, and that's why we saw their defensive coordinator get fired, because they were confident. They're confident in their offense, and really, I don't know that that's the truth. I could see somebody thinking that way. And again, that's, if I'm the 49ers, that's a way for me to maybe give it a shot with someone else if he holds out. But Randy Gregory, who's not a huge, I don't think he's a huge asset to them. I think he's 100% expendable, 31 years old. Chase Young is a big one because he's a young kid. He's 24. He'll be 25 years old when the season starts. Like, he has to get paid. And I'm thinking you pay him. Javon Kinlaw, your DT. So that's two D linemen that are big for you that you could lose. Those are probably the biggest names. You got a free safety in Tashawn Gibson, but he's old. He's about 34 years old. Ray McLeod,
Jawan
another
Jennings too,
guy.
Steve, but he's
Juwan
towards the
Jennings is
bottom
another one.
because they got it
Yeah,
ranked in terms of salary. That's how they have
right.
it ranked on there. So,
But I think your big piece is you can't lose all those pieces on defense. Gibson, Kinlaw, Young. Gregory, I think, was a plug and play, but you can't lose those big pieces when you're not going to have Greenlaw, right? You got to have people there so that Fred Warner doesn't end up getting hurt. That's, to me, is a big thing, because if he goes down, now your anchor's down, your two anchors are down, and it gets tough, I think, from there for them. And then now you're putting the pressure on Purdy. I think that's part of what made San Francisco a better team this year, was that the defense was able to keep the offense fresh and good in a lot of times. Now, granted, they lost some games they shouldn't have lost, right? Cleveland to who's the backup at that time? I don't even know who the backup was at that time, but it wasn't,
Joe
wasn't anybody
Flacco?
serviceable. No, before that, the black
Oh,
kid.
the kid, yeah, PJ something.
PJ Washington? No, PJ
No,
Washington's basketball. PJ Tucker's basketball.
I was
You
about to
know
say
who I'm talking
Tucker. Then I remember this basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't know, man. I think the 49ers, it gets tough. The only saving grace for them is they're in a shitty division. They got Seattle, who they're going to continue to go with Geno. And we saw Geno come back to earth a little bit this season.
The
And
Rams.
going to start aging out, and he'll probably be out of there. You
The
got the
Rams.
Rams who got Puka. But they're going to, time is undefeated, right? Matt Stafford is, we're going to start to see him decline at some point, just like we did with Brady, just like with everybody else. So, I'm not super concerned with them. And then Arizona, who is probably the one unknown in that division, but I still don't think that they're anything to worry about. I don't think they're any danger of winning that division immediately. Arizona, that is. So unless they make some big splashes, maybe they send Kyler away somewhere. I don't know where. When you think about quarterbacks, Washington maybe. Kyler in Washington is not a bad look to me.
I mean, Kyler in any of these places that need a quarterback is not a bad look. The issue is the contract.
Oh, that's right.
You know what I mean? Because you're still imagine if you're a team that's in a rebuild, like a Washington, like a
and
Chicago.
A new Xbox is coming out. So you in trouble.
But you're a team that's in a rebuild, like Washington, like Atlanta. Atlanta not so much in a rebuild, but still looking for a quarterback. Tennessee, Chicago, etc. Right? And you bring on a guy that makes $60 million a year. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about San Fran being able to do the things that they could do because they got a quarterback on a rookie deal that's inexpensive. Right. The Chiefs are doing the things they do. They got a quarterback who's been paid, but all these defensive guys and some offensive guys that are on these rookie deals
paid and restructured.
Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. But you're bringing in this guy while you're trying to rebuild, and you're dedicating 60. The cap is like 190 something $1 million. And you're designating 60 million of it to one guy.
Who ain't that good.
Yeah, I don't know what Arizona was doing, yo. They was wilding. Ooh, that's bad.
Remember what we said earlier? It was probably one of those things where you had to be there. Mm-hmm. because they gave Kyler that new contract and Cliff Kingsbury the extension in the same year.
Yeah. The owner was probably in the background screaming the N-word or something.
Yeah, they don't want to be great.
Kingsbury had the owner on tape calling Kyler the N-word, and they just came up with this. They formed Voltron because ain't no way. They don't
want to be great.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Kansas City, man. It's unfortunate, of course, that now they had their parade, a shooting, right? I mean, the bonus to it wasn't like this premeditated, like we see people leave their notes to say, I'm going out here and I'm gonna shoot shit up type thing. From what they're saying, they're reporting, and whether it's valid or not, we'll learn in the future, I'm sure, is it was a misunderstanding amongst people. And this is the same type of shit we see everywhere else. Chicago, Baltimore is getting really bad, or been bad. It was a misunderstanding that led to a shooting, but people got hurt and someone died. So it's serious. But the silver lining is it wasn't somebody that was like, I'm gonna go show these people this. You know what I mean? Like that's the only silver lining.
And that's sad. And that's sad. That's where we have come as a society. We can say, yeah, people had a shootout and it was bad, but at least it wasn't a mass murderer trying to. It's just sad. It's just
trying to make history, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going, EJ. I was watching First Things First, Nick Wright's them show with Chris Broussard and stuff, and they were there when it happened. And
Nick Wright was drunk too.
Yeah,
he was lit.
And when the guy on the show who plays kind of like the host, Kevin Wiles, when he spoke about it, he said something that really stuck out to me, and you could tell, you could tell he was trying not to go into the politics of it. I mean, or it could just be, the thing just happened yesterday, his mind, so just to give him a little bit of grace. But to me, it felt like he was trying not to go into the politics of it. And so I'll extend his remarks and go there. Right. But what he essentially said was that I thought was so interesting of a point to make about it. He said he reached out to somebody who was a journalist who had covered these kind of things, and he was like, "How do I talk about this?" And the person was like, "Just talk about it from your own, experience, that kind of thing, like that, whatever." And he was like, yesterday, meaning the day before the parade, he was like, "We flew to KC, we checked into the hotel, and we got some food, some Kansas City barbecue, and then we went to the event. And of those things, 3 of the 4 things didn't require luck, right? And we got on the plane. The plane was able to take off. It landed safely because there are tons of regulations that go into plane safety, right? We saw a couple of weeks ago that a damn Southwest plane or Spirit or whatever it was, the door flew off while the plane was 16,000 feet in the air, and that plane landed. Nobody died.
Alaska Airlines.
Or last, yeah. You know what I mean? Nobody died because they had
VP just shot 2 different airlines.
because they Dick Vitale, so
right.
But there are tons of redundancies built on, like, safety redundancies built on top of each other, right? So even though the door flies off 16,000 feet in the air, that plane lands safely, nobody dies. When you get scared, nobody dies. He was like, we checked into the hotel, and I didn't have to worry about the roof collapsing on my head because we have all these regulations in place to make sure the building is sturdy and that it's not, that
except
it's
in Miami,
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And then
dropping in Miami.
We went and got the food or whatever, and same thing. We didn't have to worry about getting salmonella or mad cow disease or something like that because of all these food regulations and things like that. But to go to the parade, it's like, man, we got lucky, and the fact that we live like this as a people, that anytime that you leave your home and go anywhere, church, to go get ice cream, to go to the mall, to go grocery shopping, to go to a concert, to celebrate your team winning a championship, anytime that you leave your home, you're lucky to come back. And it's not lucky in the sense of like you weren't involved in a car accident. You're lucky you didn't get shot. And we live like that as a people. And the shit is just, it makes no sense. And it's so infuriating, man.
I agree. I think it's magnified a little bit, to say it that way. But the way I look at it is, or what the crazy part is, when we were watching the Super Bowl, right? I was having a conversation with 2 people that were at the, where I was watching the game at. And I was like, yo, we saw them show LeBron, we saw them show so-and-so, we saw some, whatever, right? And I'm like, yo, if somebody, and not to serious it out or somber it out, but if somebody wanted to like set it off right now, like another country or something, that's the spot. It's televised. You getting rid of all the big names and shit like that. And then we just started going down this path of the same shit. Like, yo, anytime I'm in public, anytime I go to a concert, like I went, the week before that to see Drake, and anytime we go places like that, you have to think that way, when you're in those mass settings. And that's the downside to how we're living in America. I do think that there are people that magnify it to the 10th power, to the sentence, that last part of your sentence where it's like, oh, if you go outside and you go get gas, you have to be, you're lucky if you make it home without getting shot. I don't go that far, but I do think, that it's something that's in the back of your mind anytime you're in some big areas.
I think he's right, and again, I think people speak from a place of privilege. If you live in Chicago, that's a literal fact. There are certain places where you go, you're gonna be lucky to not get hit. DC, same thing. There's just different places, and I think the overall thing is, it's twofold. It's the laws, and then it's the people. Like these young cats, they're getting illegal guns, and who's fixing the social economical problem while they're doing these things. Then it's how are these guns getting in here. Then with the mass murderers, the assault rifles, the mental health aspect, It's just, I think it's just the point that we are living in a very violent society where this shit, it happens, people go back to normal, and we just wait till the next one. And while it might not be everywhere where people have to worry or feel like they have to worry, but I mean, again, whoever thought that that would happen in Orlando that time? Whoever thought what happened in Buffalo would happen? You know what I mean? So you really don't know. You really don't know. And I mean, if you don't live in a state of fear in this country, you're a little delusional, because at any point in time, whether you live in the hood or whether some dude had this manifesto, we're in danger. We're not Japan. We're not one of those places. I mean, shit, we've always joked about how in London the cops don't carry guns. Like, those people
Can
don't expect things to happen. We live in a
Canada too.
country, yeah, we live in a country where this shit can happen at any second, no matter where you are, whether it's gang violence or it's some dude with a manifesto. And I think overall, to VP's point, this nation has to do something that makes sense. It just has to do something.
It'll never get better. It'll never get better because it's a political thing. The minute they take it away from it being a political thing, the minute it doesn't require, it's not something that's on people's agenda to keep people backing them, for them to keep their jobs and their political standings, then you can talk about that. But it's too political of a thing for it to change. It's very unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate because and the federal government leaves it to local governments to make certain laws, right? And so if you're going to leave it to local governments and you're like, oh, well, New York is doing a great thing because they make people do this and they give people this much jail time if they get caught with a unregistered weapon. Well, from New York, you just got to drive to Texas, Ohio, Missouri, wherever, pretty close, to be able to circumvent those rules, laws, and guardrails, right? And then just bring yourself back up there. It ain't like back in the day where you didn't have the internet, so you didn't know where to go find this stuff. Now you go on the internet, you could find where to go, probably within 100 miles, to buy X, Y, and Z, to do whatever you're trying to do, whether it means just keeping yourself safe, your family safe, or actually setting some shit off.
Yeah, and Steve, to your point about like, oh man, if somebody really wanted to do something, this would be the thing. You're not the only one who has that thought. The government has that thought as well. And the Super Bowl each year is actually designated as a I forget the term they use for it, but it's like a high priority, like, security event, basically. For and the federal government comes in with the Department of Homeland Security, and they put in the same level of resources that they do for things like a presidential inauguration, or like when the Pope visits the United States and things like that. So it's like multiple layers of security. I was just reading a story this year that was talking about one of the things that they were concerned about was drones, because people who are hobbyists fly drones, and they were saying during the 2022-2023 season there were like a couple thousand different events of incursions of drones, like flying into the stadium and stuff like that. And so Homeland Security actually had like jammers, not only jammers but trackers out there, to where they could jam the signal of a drone but also track where the signal was coming from to go get those people arrested.
Yo.
So
Yeah.
so
high level shit.
Yeah, so it's stuff that they're thinking about as well, but they definitely do have it designated as a like a high priority event, and there's multiple layers of security.
Yeah, I mean, prayers to those involved, or whatever, well wishes, depending on who you are, what you are, what you believe in. For those involved in Kansas City, we saw Tay gave 100,000, Travis Kelce gave 100,000. They felt obligated, I suppose, to support. But yeah, I mean, look, we're gonna wake up to it. We're gonna wake up to it. And it's an election year. It's the playbook. This is the playbook. I mean, every time there's an election year, you got, these things that get magnified, because they're happening every day, but it's been fairly quiet on that front. Been fairly quiet on that front. At least in mainstream news.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been quiet. It's just one of those things that is so normalized now. It's not covered. On the day that the Kansas City thing happened, there were two other mass shootings that same day. One in Atlanta and one in somewhere here in Florida.
I need you to start asterisking your mass shooting words.
What do you mean?
Mm.
You know what the fuck I mean. You know what the hell I mean. When you say mass shooting, people think about, oh, somebody came out here with an AR-15 and got us and set it off. That's what people think.
No,
And
I'm
that's
going
what
by what the
there we go.
definition
This
of a
is
mass
what the
shooting is.
definition is. Blah blah blah. Okay, there were shootings.
A mass shooting is categorized as an incident where 4 or more people are shot or killed, not including the shooter. And so on that same day where 22 people were shot and 1 died in Kansas City, we had 2 other events that happened here that didn't get any coverage because of what was happening in Kansas City. But this stuff is happening all the time.
I'm not doing this with you. There were shootings, yes. I'm not gonna make it seem like, I think people try to play on people's heartstrings and say mass shootings to associate with like the Sandy Hooks and stuff like that, right? Like when you talk about mass shooting and you're just saying, oh, 4 people were shot, not including the shooter. Well, what was the situation? It's not whether it's right or wrong doesn't make a difference, but what was the situation? It's not the same as somebody going out and setting it off on a school or setting it off on a church or setting it off in public. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's all I'm saying.
And I understand what you're saying, but my point is back to what I said earlier when I talked about, how this stuff has gotten to a point to where we're almost desensitized about it. It's almost like me and you as Floridians, when a hurricane is coming in, we're like, yeah, wake me up when it's a category 4. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to get to a point to where we're in like mass shootings. It's like, I mean, only 5 people got shot. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? And that's the point I'm making. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but I'm saying, we can't. I mean, and we're basically desensitized as a country. But I feel like us, down to the individuals shouldn't, try to get that way because, in my mind, that'll only help it get worse.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all agree that there needs to be some type of action to control some of this stuff. But what that looks like, we could talk till we're blue in the face, and then that gets pretty redundant and boring. For us at least right now. What else is going on? Anything? Anything? I had a list, man. My phone be bugging though. Let me see what I got here. Anything else happened this week that is? It's All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend. NBA All-Star Weekend.
I'm not that into it anymore. I mean, it's just, I know you love the NBA, but
talk about it.
I agree.
None of this shit moved me at all. None of it. I didn't watch any of it. I don't care about any of it. I don't.
Now, I will say I watched last night and I liked the 3-point contest. And then I also liked the 3-point battle between Steph and
Sabrina Ionescu.
And I liked it too because it came down to the wire. Steph had to hit that last shot to win. There were some things about it I didn't like or whatever, like as far as them making her shoot from the male 3-point line.
Well, she remember she wanted that.
No, I got that, but I think we know why she probably wanted that. But still, I like the competition though. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought that was dope of her though, as a competitor to be like, nah, let's get it. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, but
I
like the competition overall.
That shit was whack. I like that they. Let me tell you why. I like that they did it. But I don't like the fact that I feel like personally, I think they did it specifically because them other motherfuckers in the 3-point contest can't see Steph. I felt like they were just like, all right, if we put Steph in here, there's no chance that anybody else wins the 3-point contest in the NBA. Dame Lillard ended up winning it, But I thought all of those guys shot well. Like if at the end of the first round, 3 people tied at 26, and those are the people that moved on. So shooting has come so far that I just feel like the NBA did it to get Steph out of there. I mean, obviously, and also to help magnify the WNBA because they probably sell as many tickets as never mind bottles of water that Costco sells in a day. So it just I get it. I get why they did it, but I think there could have been other ways of they could find other ways to do it. The dunk contest is trash. Thank you, LeBron James. You have single-handedly ruined the dunk contest.
Here we go. The thing I didn't like about the 3-point contest though was like, I mean, if we're gonna have like, what's the point of having rules if we're not gonna follow them? They got the refs that are right there, and
Carl Anthony.
Big Cat is like on the line, and it's not like he's barely on it. He's literally over the line, and he made like 4 in a row being over the line. They counted all 4 of them, and then he ends up moving on to the final, and it's like, yo, there's somebody who got knocked out because you let this guy's illegal shots count. I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
Vegas.
And then and then to your point about the dunk contest in my mind, the shit was whack. And not only was it whack, the scoring was just terrible. They need to.
Well, you got Gary Payton, who I don't think I've ever seen Gary Payton dunk a ball scoring.
Right.
What are we doing? What I did like is Kenny Smith was on one last night.
Yeah, he was.
Kenny Smith was on one, and I fucked with him.
Kenny Smith was the highlight of the dunk contest.
I think
he was an announcer.
I think Kenny Smith
was crazy.
Yeah, he went different. I think because Shaq wasn't there and Barkley, he felt or knew he had to step it up and carry. You know what I mean? He had to carry as the A mic, and I thought he did really, really well. Reggie Miller, he tried to keep up with him, but Kenny Smith stole the show.
Yeah, he did,
hands down, and I appreciated it. It showed a lot of personality.
Like Gary Payton don't know nothing about dunking, and this guy Wilkins, he kept saying his name wrong. He called him Wilkins, Wilson.
He said Gary Payton is a hater by nature.
Yeah. Yo, that was funny, yo.
Yeah, he's on his shit, man. I fucks with him.
He's like, Gary Payton's a hater by nature, and Dr. J probably just wish he was out there.
Yeah. I think the NBA has
not Dr. J, Dominique.
He said he wish he's still dunking. Yeah. I think the NBA, we talk about it every year. They got to find a way to get these backyard dunkers involved, like or these G League guys. Like McClung is a G League guy. You got to find these guys that want to make their name. It doesn't have to be a backyard guy. There's insurance stuff that comes in play there. There's risk, that comes in play there. But if these stars are not going to do it, like they moved on Jaylen Brown just because of the name, because he was trash. And then the dunks that he did, they were scoring them at 49s. And I'm like, yo, this would have been like a 42 if it was those years against Aaron Gordon. And these
Zach
guys
Levine.
like Zach Levine, like those trash.
I'm glad you said that, because I thought that watching, but then I wasn't sure. Like, is this my Heat bias? I hate Boston. I hate their players. I hate their fans. I hate their team. So I wasn't sure like what it was. You know what I mean? But I thought that shit was pretty whack. And so
my man put his arm over his eyes to be D Brown after he already hit the ground.
After he dunked. Yeah, that shit was terrible.
What are you doing, yo? And I felt like Mac McClung, all he had to do, because Brown was trash, was jump high. So all he did was jump over Shaq.
Yeah.
And he won. Like
I think it's because he's short, and he's got some bunnies, man. He's got some hops,
the Nate Robinson treatment.
Yeah, Spud Webb, Nate Robinson, yep.
But I want some creativity.
Kenny Smith
said, I didn't. Jaime Jaquez.
I thought one of his dunks, I don't know if it was the first one or the second one. It was one they scored at like 47. I was like, that was too low. He should have got at least a 48 for that. But
I think that's the one where he said Gary Payton was a hater. I think. But he Kenny Smith said, "Oh, look at this. I didn't know that Jaylen Brown was so creative." It's like, oh my god. Like he killed it, man. I look forward to the All-Star game tonight. I like the All-Star game. I like watching these guys just get out there and just have, like, you like seeing, I don't know, me personally, I like seeing these guys be human and have fun, and you know what I mean? We put athletes and celebrities on this pedestal like they're not human, you know. And so when you do actually get to see them out there being human and you hear them mic'd up and shit like that, just having fun, you know, it's a good thing, because we as fans, man, we couldn't run up and down. Most of us couldn't run up and down that court 10 times without losing our breath, and we'd be out there calling people trash and shit like that. So
that's part
one
of
other
the course,
thing I
though.
did. One of the
No,
things
I
I did
was
like,
just gonna say the last All-Star game I was interested in was what that 98 one, I think, when Stephon Marbury and Kobe and them were going at it. I loved that one. That was a different era. These kids today, I don't know.
I'm interested in watching Luka, man.
One other thing I did like was, you know, since it's at a football stadium, is the floor that they built, because it's like electronic or whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if that's gonna play into tonight, like kind of how they had that one like 4-point ball in the 3-point contest. I wonder if they're gonna implement something like that for like them cats that be like shooting it from half court or whatever. You know what I mean? So I wonder if that'll come into play tonight. So I think that'll be interesting to see how they use that.
That would be dope.
Good thing,
especially if they put it at like half court.
Good thing is President's Day tomorrow, so a lot of us people that get government holidays are off tomorrow. So it's a bonus.
A lot of us people, right? A lot of us people. You mean you, motherfucker? You,
right?
you should be thanking Joe Biden.
That's one thing I missed when I worked for the government, when I was in the military, man. You get every holiday off.
This guy.
That's government and teachers, yo. They make out. Except for teachers don't get paid shit.
Right.
Shit, the government don't.
That's right. Right.
I guess it depends what you do. Depends what you do. But all right, what else is going on? I'm interested in watching the All-Star game. Who you guys think is going to get MVP?
I mean, it's always tough, man, because, you know, like, I feel like years past, you could kind of say, I think this, you know, it's going to be Kobe, it's going to be Bron, it's going to be West, you know. But now, like, these dudes they be going for it, so they're just jacking up shots, you know. So it's tough, man. It's tough, and the game is damn near unwatchable, because, you know, at least it was like, you know, all right, first quarter they're gonna play around. Second quarter, they're going to play around, but take it a little bit more serious. And then when we get to the second half, we're going to get a game. You know, we're going to get what we came for when you see the world's best playing against each other. And they don't do that anymore. Now it's just as unwatchable as the NFL Pro Bowl.
I'm going to say Luka, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, those are the two that I had.
I definitely see Tatum firing off. Tatum's going to shoot at least 40 shots tonight.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you talk about Luka, he's going to pass. I think he's going to try and make a lot of passes. He grabs boards, and then he can score at will. So if I'm him and I'm trying to get MVP, I think he can triple-double easily by focusing on the passes, the garbage time rebounds, and then he can score 40 points in the blink of an eye. Is
it East versus West again, or is it squads? Okay.
It's East versus West, but it was still like they're still doing the team LeBron, team whoever thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm still gonna watch it. I mean, it's not like the Pro Bowl where I'm like, what time does it start again? And then I get there, 45 minutes later, some shit. I'm gonna watch the All-Star game.
Man, I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in probably 10 years.
And I don't know who's performing in the All-Star game. That's the other thing. Sometimes, the performance, the opening act is good. Let's see who's opening it.
Yeah, Pro Bowl.
Usher.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't surprise me.
This
He already,
year,
but he already did.
yeah, he's done the Pro Bowl before. I mean, not
Oh.
All-Star game. I mean,
I don't know who's doing it.
yeah, I saw Milwaukee put a bid in to get the 2027 All-Star game. I saw
Somebody
people
trying to go to
online like,
Milwaukee.
hell no.
Nobody
Nobody want
trying
to
to
go to Milwaukee in February.
Fuck out of here.
Who's got
Like,
20? Oh, Bay Area's got 25, and then damn, this is some bullshit. Bay Area's got 25, and LA got 26.
Mm-hmm.
Some bullshit, yo.
And
So damn tired.
You know who still hasn't hosted one?
Miami.
I'm so tired
Pat
of
Riley's fault.
California.
I just like the fact that we play in Miami. You know what I mean? And we have like forget about if the team was good or not. The fact that the team is located in Miami and we still haven't hosted an All-Star game is fucking insane to me.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's too expensive.
But they've gone to New York and LA.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Well, New York, in comparison, I've never been to Miami, but in comparison, what I've heard, you know, New York actually is relatively cheaper than people think. And I was reminded of that when I went home. Like Manhattan is, you know, it's still really cheap, and it's kind of weird because they have those old historical bars and shit, and there's not really a lot down there, so it's not really a lot to do.
New York is New York is cheaper in the New York is cheaper in the way I think of tourism for you know, if you're looking for hotels and Airbnbs.
Well, hotels
I think
are not cheap. That's
you could. Well, in Miami, they're fucking ridiculous. They're ridiculous. Unless you're staying in, you know, Ratchet Town, USA. You know,
but I get your point
Haiti,
about
little Cuba.
I get your point about tourism because again, there's really nothing to do in Manhattan but go to the Statue of Liberty, which is dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But
restaurants and shit,
Empire State Building, I mean, yeah, and everything around there is relatively cheap, but there's nothing else to do in Manhattan. It's nothing to do. It's just New York. There's nothing to do. To be honest,
yeah.
nothing.
But
there.
it's New York.
That's
It's
it.
New York. So when you talk about All-Star game, I mean, Miami should have an All-Star game, but I don't know that it's gonna happen anytime soon because you guys are gonna suck for a while coming up. I think you guys are gonna go through this slump like the Patriots because Jimmy Butler's starting to age out. Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez. I don't know that those guys are going to be able to carry shit. Y'all may not even be the best team in Florida in the next couple of years.
I mean, I think we have enough serviceable pieces, but I think we need to get a guy.
Yes.
So
you need to draft Bronny James. And
that may happen for us, given the fact that we haven't been able to find a trade partner over the past few years for some of these bigger talents, like when KD was available, Bradley Beal was available, the Dame trade, etc. And so we've been able to hold on to some first round picks, and you know, maybe we can go and find a guy. Because I mean, the Heat haven't had, you know, a good amount of draft picks in a while because Pat Riley was more than willing to trade them away in order to get players he wanted.
Yeah, like the Rams.
You know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
but you guys, but Miami is on the docket for the Olympics, right?
I hadn't heard that.
No, it's
I think
New Jersey.
The Olympics going to LA or something.
They go to a lot of places.
Well, I think you might be talking about. I think is it the World Cup?
Same difference.
Maybe
it's all the same. It's all the same.
I think I don't even know. I'm thinking you might mean World Cup and not Olympics.
Yeah, I'm thinking World Cup. Same difference.
I want to take off one year. I want to take off 1 year for the World Cup and just drink.
They're gonna be in America.
Soccer games. Yeah, I just want to drink throughout the soccer games. That shit is fun.
You got to go to the
Colombia
game.
2026 World Cup.
That's coming. Quick.
In Miami?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
When's the Olympics coming?
At the Dolphins thing. The Olympics, I think the
the
Olympics this year is in Paris. I think the 28 Olympics is in LA.
Now is the time to buy property.
Paris ain't shit.
Even though
Too late. No,
even though
LA
shit is
28.
Punch him in his face. Even though shit is expensive right now and interest rates are up, you got to buy and hold now for Airbnbs for 26 and 28 because you're gonna make all that. You might make enough to pay the shit off in those 2 years. Airbnb. I mean, World Cup in the city is probably going to be 2 weeks. You're going to be able to step on that like crazy. Olympics, you're going to be able to step on that like crazy. Listen, it might be some. You know what? Keep my.
I wonder where they're going to play at though. Because typically, like my understanding of the World Cup is that they it's going to be at the Dolphins Stadium for like the final. Like that's going to be one of the stadiums, and that's where the final is going to be. But they usually have, I think they have something like 5 different stadiums.
Yeah, multiple stadiums.
Soccer happening
because there's so many games. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I'm wondering like where are they going to play it at? Like where are the other?
They got to build fields. They got to build stuff.
Yeah, they're going to probably put shit together
in the past.
Well, where does Miami? Where does Messi and them play?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess they can use wherever they play.
Yeah, so wherever they play, you got the Dolphin Stadium. They could probably turn American Airlines up. Like that's 3 spots right there. Maybe
probably the Marlins Stadium.
Yeah, listen. One thing they're gonna do is
does the World Cup happen when baseball is going on? I'm not sure.
I was gonna say I think it's the tail end. I feel like it's near each other.
Yeah, but you know how they are. They just schedule away games.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, if it's playoff time, we ain't gonna be there. So you know, it'll definitely be available.
That's a good point. Thanks, Jeter. Anything else going on this week that we missed? Let's see. I know there's some stuff. Let me hold on. Y'all talk about some bullshit like y'all always do, and I'm gonna find something.
This guy.
Well,
because I knew I had something that I wanted to.
This nigga never could find a list when he needs a list.
Well, I'll go over the.
Trump came out with some sneakers. Oh, my boy. You know what? I'm a sneakerhead, so I gotta support Trump. That's probably what he was thinking.
No, it wasn't.
No,
he actually was at SneakerCon and got booed.
He did get booed, but I think he was thinking, you know, I can appeal to sneakerheads and try and get some votes.
Yeah, I think he was thinking I could try to sell some of these sneakers and pay off this fine I just got.
Hey, VP, continue on with your politics. Whatever you're gonna say, this nigga talking about some bullshit.
So this week, the House impeached the Homeland Security Secretary by a vote of 214 and 213. That now goes over to the Senate. The Senate Democrats haven't decided how they're going to handle it, either by just straight up dismissing the charges and moving on, or actually having a trial, which nothing's going to happen regardless if they have a trial or not. But they haven't determined how they're going to handle this thing. And in the impeachment inquiry, it doesn't actually list any actual crimes or misdemeanors. They're basically impeaching him over a policy dispute with the Biden administration. So, you know, watch this space on that, even though nothing's going to happen. Biden has stated that he has confidence in the secretary and he ain't going nowhere. So that happened. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was in the hospital again this week. He's been getting treated for pancreatic cancer, and he had some kind of a setback during his recovery and had to go back to the hospital again. He was there for about 2 days, and then he got released, and then he worked from home a day or two, and then now he's back at work. But you know, he's recovering from that. You also had this week that the Donald Trump has to pay $355 million for defrauding banks and insurance companies for when he was applying for loans. He was essentially overvaluing properties when it was time to apply for loans, and then devaluing them when it was time to apply for insurance. So, for example, his Mar-a-Lago property down in West Palm Beach, Florida, he valued that property saying that it was worth anywhere between $400 to $600 million. And when they had appraisers go in and look at it, they said it was worth anywhere between $18 and $27 million. So, so he's been ordered to pay the state of New York about roughly $355 million. And he also can't be an officer of any company or any business in the state of New York for 3 years. And also his sons face $4 million fines each. and they each can't serve as officers of any company in the state of New York for 2 years. He said he's going to appeal that, but we'll see what happens. Just because to file the appeal, he has to actually post the money that he is supposed to pay, and some people don't believe he has that much cash to post, along with the almost $100 million that he got sued for in a defamation lawsuit about a month ago. So, watch this space on those things. And then Trump also asked the Supreme Court to stay or continue to pause his DC case regarding the charges stemming from January 6th. All the briefs were filed last week, and we'll see what the Supreme Court says in the coming days. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, politics-wise, is kind of more of an international story that kind of talks about what we've been talking about, as well as things that we've talked about in the past. And that's the fact that in Russia, opposition leader Alexei Navalny died in a Russian prison. Very likely he was killed by the Russians. And according to the statement that was released by the prison, he went out for a walk, and then after he finished his walk, he felt unwell. He went to the hospital and then or to the infirmary or whatever, and then died there. As one typically does when you go for a walk. And the reason that I wanted to bring that up is that, I'm pretty sure we all know that Putin had this guy killed. He tried to have him poisoned, back in, I think it was 2019, and he ended up surviving. And the connection that I want to make is that, we've seen over the years, anybody who's been an opponent to Putin has died. People who oppose Putin's policies for some reason are unable to stand near open windows without falling out of them, or stand on balconies without going over them. We've seen in the past 10 years, as well as the ones who are just straight up poisoned, right? And the connection that I want to make here is what's happening there with a guy like Alexei Navalny and any other critic of Putin who has been essentially killed by Putin is essentially what Trump is arguing he should be able to do here. Because in the DC Court of Appeals a month ago for this January 6th case, the court asked his lawyers, because their theory is that for any official act that Trump takes as president, he can't be prosecuted for it unless he's first impeached and then convicted by the Senate. And if that doesn't happen, he can't be prosecuted. And so the judge asked his lawyer, so are you saying that the president can order SEAL Team 6 to kill a political rival and he can't be prosecuted unless impeachment and conviction happens? And the lawyer essentially said yes. So he's arguing in the courts that he should, if he kills somebody as president, if he orders the killing of an American citizen or somebody who opposes him, he can't be prosecuted for it by the criminal justice system unless these things happen first or whatever. You know what I mean? And so, as I always say, people need to wake the fuck up. This shit is dangerous. And I'll leave it there.
These little capitalists are back out. Damn Girl Scouts with their Girl Scout cookies standing outside Publix again. Oh man, how do you say no?
Yeah, I don't usually support them anymore. I always had, because I always used to have like a work colleague who's doing it. So like, I'm gonna get them at work, just trying to like support a friend or a colleague. But now that I work from home,
they get like 50 cents on every box of some shit. Like they get like $4 or 50 cents or some. The return that the Girl Scouts actually get is fucking ridiculous. It's a fucking racket.
Shit is expensive too. They up to $6 now. Remember Girl Scout cookies was $3.50? Thanks, Joe.
They're worth it though, man.
They are. They got some new ones. They got some new ones.
The thing I always hate about the Girl Scout cookies is like when they started legalizing marijuana, and you saw the Girl Scouts with some hustle in them go outside and people are like, oh my god, the outrage, and I'm like, that's a pretty fucking good idea.
Fucking genius.
What is
fucking genius when they pull up at the weed spots.
Yeah, at the dispensaries.
I have not seen that.
So cookies, you didn't see that one girl. So like
in Colorado, that one girl when they legalized it, there was Girl Scout cookie time, and she went and set up camp outside the dispensary, and I mean sold out like in an hour. You know
Yeah,
what I
she cleaned
mean?
up.
That's
Because
smart.
people went in and then they came out like, yeah, I'm gonna need that. Like,
Yeah, she was
I'm
selling
gonna
bricks
need
of
that
them
in about
things.
an hour.
Right,
So,
and about
She was Jane St. Patrick with that shit.
That's pretty smart. That's pretty smart.
but like, while a lot of people were like, yo, that was a good fucking idea. Like, a lot of people were like, how can you? Oh my god, the kids, this is so wrong. Da, 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 da. And it's like, she wasn't selling weed. You know what I mean? Like, she
Right.
sold some cookies. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I would want. I don't know if I would want my
And her
daughter.
parents were there. It's not like she was by herself. The parents
But that's
were
the
there.
thing. I don't know if I would want my daughter standing outside of a weed dispensary, breathing that shit in all fucking all day. Like, it's just, I get it. I don't think it's wrong for them to do it if that's what they want to do. I just don't think for me as a parent, I would want my kid standing outside of a weed dispensary.
I hear you.
You know, plus there's some questionable people that go in and out of there. That's the mental health people. At least that's how they get the card, right?
This guy.
A lot of people get it because they have
you just apply,
pain and et cetera, et cetera.
You just apply.
Well, in Colorado, there's no card. You just
I know it's legal.
Yeah.
In Maryland, you just apply for the card. You just can't be.
Well, in Florida, it has to be a health. It has to be a health thing. It's only medical
Right.
at this point. So if
and that's actually something that my girl
is that on the ballot this year, VP?
No, but my girl Elizabeth Warren is pushing the Biden administration to go for legalization at the federal level. They're not there yet, but I've heard Biden make some comments. Like, it sounds to me like, you know, with politics, how you see a person who they're over here on an issue and they start softening the stance. You know, so I'm seeing the steps coming.
Oh, he needs to. He needs to help reverse those people he locked up back in the day.
No, I just think he needs to do that because he's losing his leverage with black people.
Okay.
Ain't done shit for us. Not a damn thing. Shit.
I'm just not even sure where that's coming from.
It's just reality. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a reason for anything. It's just reality.
I mean, it's not, but I got you.
You know, black women, student loans, hand in hand, go together.
Benji's, man. Benji's.
Let me see. I don't know. I haven't. What you been watching?
I'll tell you. I binge watched the entire 5 seasons of Yellowstone, which is it's basically the Sopranos of the Midwest.
Did you watch it by yourself?
Yeah,
or did you watch it?
I watched it by myself. I wasn't waiting on anybody. I've been wanting to watch it for a long time, and yeah, I mean, Kevin Costner, always money.
Well, now you got to watch 1772.
Oh no, I watched 1883 and 1923.
Same difference.
both spin-offs of Yellowstone. Not as good as Yellowstone at all. 1883 was a little bit better than 1923, but Yellowstone, the whole premise is crazy. Like, you wind up rooting for this rich asshole who owns all this land, right? That and everybody in the world wants this land, this ranch. His ranch is like a lot of land, and it's adjacent to the Yellowstone National Park. And it's like, you look at it, you think about it, this guy is white patriarchy personified, you know what I mean? And the Indian people are like, yo, we want our land. Other people are like, yo, make this land for the people. And he's like, nah, this is my family shit, fuck all y'all, you know. But you wound up rooting for this guy because the show is just builds that way, you know what I mean? So Yellowstone was pretty dope. It's basically a soap opera, Sopranos combination kind of thing for me. And in 1883 wasn't as good. 1923 was definitely not as good with Harrison Ford, but I binge watched those. And Netflix Love is Blind, I mean, we're watching that. And
the new one?
Yeah, the new one. And
is it good?
then, yeah, it's decent. And then there's a joint on there we haven't finished. It's called Love Stalker or whatever, something Stalker Love something, but it's basically about a dude who is fucked up. Like, I watched it. Yeah, it's fucked up. Like, dude getting stalked by this chick. It happened, so he's telling it as it happened in the past, But I mean, it's fucked up, man. Like stalking, that shit is just it's nasty work. It's nasty work.
What you
Nasty
been
work.
watching? What you been watching, BP? Nothing. Okay.
Nothing new really. Just I mean, I have stuff on, but it's kind of like it's just like background noise, not necessarily like really watching it. Yeah.
I started watching The Tourist on Netflix. I got 2 episodes in and fell asleep on it.
Oh, that's a show.
Yeah, it's a show.
What's that
I think
about?
it's got 8 episodes or maybe less than that. It's a guy, and I can't tell you how it ends, or I can't even tell you the plot yet. But basically, he wakes up. Yeah, he wakes up in a
Whorehouse?
hospital. No, it's not Lamar Odom. He wakes up in a small town in like a hospital and doesn't know how he got there or why he's there, but there's people trying to kill him.
Oh,
And he's trying to figure it out. So he's trying to piece shit together, and he forms a bond with a couple of people there. One of the ladies. But that's as far as I got, and then I fell asleep. I'm gonna go back to it and finish it though. It's not long at all. Couple episodes. I think it's like 6. It's either 6 or 8. I started watching Love Is Blind, but I started at the first season. Was that the best one, EJ?
you know what? I haven't watched back that far myself, so I don't know.
Okay.
Tell you the truth, yeah.
I did that specifically because like I was thinking of like The Circle, and with The Circle, I love me The Circle, but like the first season of The Circle was fire, 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 and then from there it's still what makes me watch it, but it's kind of gone downhill.
I can dig it.
And I watched I'm trying to see my watch again because I did finish something else that was a doc on there. But while I'm looking for that, we also watched started watching the tour I'm not the tourist, Traders, but the new one. Remember I talked about Traders before, and it was the older one. The older one didn't have any like big stars on it. This one has like a bunch of housewives on it. Larsa Pippin's on
What?
it. Well,
The old one did have big stars on it. Suri was on there. She won it.
who?
Suri from Survivor.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah, I
right,
don't know
exactly.
what the fuck that is.
Exactly.
I have no idea
No
who
big-
that is.
So this one has like
she's one of the biggest people in Survivor's history.
Stop it. This one has CT on it. This one has Johnny Bananas. See, those are household names, VP. Not Sari. Actually, I think Sari is on this one too. I think she's on the new one. Now that you say
You don't watch Survivor, that's why you don't know who she is.
That's right. That doesn't. That I said big stars. Larsa Pippen was on it. Marcus Jordan was on it. On this
Shout
new
out to
one.
him for getting free from her.
They're back together.
They're back together?
Yes, that didn't
Fuck.
last long. I know. But that's. I mean, this new season looks pretty good, and I think if I remember correctly, Vari, Suri is on there, and there's some other Survivor people that you probably would remember. The girl that won it multiple times. She looks Spanish.
Sandra.
Sure, we'll call her that.
That's her name.
There's a couple things that I'm looking forward to watching, but other than that, that's it.
Yeah. If you had been watching Survivor, like if you go back and watch that season, you would love Suri. Like the reason that she became so big in like the Survivor fandom is that Suri was like that one cast member that could talk people into doing anything, and they finally realized that at one point, and actually I think she went to the end. She just didn't win, if I remember correctly. But there was a moment where there was it was down to the final 4, and there was a girls' alliance, right? But the dude who let's call him Matt or something like that, he won the immunity necklace or whatever, and so it was like, damn, the girls are thinking we got to vote each other out, and Sari was like, I'm gonna talk to him and see if I can get him to give up the immunity or whatever. And they're like, why the fuck would he give up his immunity? Like, it's gonna let him go to the final 3. You know, it's so serene when it talks to him, and basically convinced this motherfucker, like, yo, like, I know you say we're cool, but if you really want me to trust you, like, you got to show me something. You know what I mean? And so she basically got dude to give up his immunity necklace, and then they voted his ass out.
She'd have got punched in the face, but he's an
Right.
idiot. He's an
I'd have
idiot.
beat her
bro.
ass as soon as we would have had the little reunion. Yeah, I'm elbow dropping you right on the couch. Night night, bitch.
He's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot.
You know what you guys got to watch? I know you probably haven't. VP, you probably won't watch it, but EJ, I'm telling you, man, get on that Zeus. Get on that Zeus and start watching that Ratchet TV. I watched I finished Bad Boys. I watched remember I told you I watched the first one, the Texas one, and then I went back and watched the LA one, which was the original. Yo, they just be thumping. And then now I'm watching Baddies East.
Yeah, I've watched some of that a couple times. I can't stand that shit, yo. It's a bunch of fucking yelling, a bunch of fucking stupidness going. I can't stand it.
TV.
I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy. Motherfuckers got different drama every day. Like, nah. Yo.
That's good. That's the guilty pleasure, yo.
You gotta watch Raising Kanan, man. Stop playing.
I do. I got it.
The season finale was dope.
But I don't like watching so I watch those Ratchet shows when I'm working out, when I'm in the garage or whatever, because I don't got to think. You know what I'm saying? I'm just listening, and and then when they start screaming, I'll turn and watch the scene or whatever. Yeah, but I don't like watching stuff where I have to think or keep up with a story while I'm doing that. So, but I do need to watch Kanan, man. I need to get to
Raising Kanan is definitely, in my opinion, the best of the Power universe. It's definitely by far the best of the Power universe.
I heard it's fire.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It was a pretty dope season. Pretty dope season.
Yo, they need to stop trying to do Chris Brown wrong, yo.
What happened now?
He was supposed to play in the celebrity game, and they called him last minute. Ruffles, Ruffles was sponsoring it. Ruffles and NBA. He says called him or sent him an email last minute. It was like, nah, we can't do it. We can't have you here.
That's what happens when you beat women.
Allegedly.
No.
Also
confirmed.
Also,
and I think what's gonna keep fucking Chris Brown up as far as that goes is that one, the things that we see typically happen from celebrities after stuff like that happen, like with Michael Vick, he starts volunteering at animal groups, like going on basically the apology tour,
Chris Brown
Chris Brown didn't do that, right? So that's the first thing. But second, I think, is actually Bill Burr, right? And so I don't know if you ever seen that sketch. Bill Burr has a sketch called, or not, it's part of his larger show, but it's called No Reason to Hit a Woman. It's like a 15-minute sketch.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny as hell. And he brings up that Rihanna thing. And anytime I go on YouTube, I always see like reaction videos of people reacting to it who had never, and this shit came out like 10 years ago.
That's your algorithm. That's your algorithm. You're always looking at.
No, what I'm saying is that when I'm seeing people reacting to it, it's like I just watched a video this week of somebody reacting to it, which the video was posted like 4 days ago. You know what I mean? So this is somebody who's just now coming to it.
Oh, it's a new video, you're saying?
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. I feel like people are seeing this Bill Burr thing from 10 years ago, but it's like it keeps getting like brought back up or whatever.
He's racist. I don't like Bill Burr, man. I don't fuck with him. He's racist.
He's married to a black chick.
Yeah. What?
I think he's married to a black chick.
What that mean?
As hell.
What that mean? What that mean? Just because you like to dabble don't mean you're not racist.
I mean, marrying don't seem like dabbling. Seems like a little bit of a larger commitment.
I don't fuck with Bill Burr, man.
I thought you like Bill Burr.
No, I'm not a Bill Burr fan. I like comedy. So I like funny stuff, but I don't fuck with him as a person. He's Joey Bosa to me. Like, I like football, so I still watch, the 49ers play.
I mean, he never called nobody a nigga, man. That's Bill Maher. Bill Maher drops the N-word all
questionable. questionable. I want to watch the last thing I want to talk about really quick is for binges is I want to watch the I just had
Raising
it up
Canaan.
too.
Nigga, how you gonna say you want to watch something else and you ain't watch Raising Canaan yet?
I want to watch the Vince Staples show.
I watched the first episode. I watched like 5 to 10 minutes. This shit is not funny. You're not gonna like it. I promise you.
You don't know what I like.
I know you. Like I don't like Joe Budden. You know, they love that guy. They pump this guy up. To me, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. He thinks he's too cool for school.
But you don't like people from California.
I love people from California. I just think
Questionable.
that dude. I think that dude thinks he's better than what he is. He's hyped up, and the show is trash to me. I watched like the first 10 minutes. It's not
That may
funny
be
at all.
true. That may be true. I'll check it out and I'll report back. But I mean, he is a cocky individual. Like
super
all the interviews
cocky.
that I've heard him in, he seemed pretty cocky.
And they be talking like this motherfucker's so smart and says so much prolific shit. Like, nah. I think he only got a lane because Nipsey ain't here. I mean, I know he was doing shit, you know, while Nipsey was around, but I feel like he got a larger audience, you know, as Nipsey fell back, you know, passed away and got killed. But I mean, he don't watch him on them Joe Budden's interviews. He's like one of them people that just think he's super cool, tough. Like it's just corny to me. Like it's very corny to me, and the show shows that.
I think you can see through it. Like sometimes I see some of these dudes that be on those interviews like that, and you could tell they just read the 48 Laws of Power, and now they think they, you know, I'm gonna go on this interview and I'm about to talk, you know, talk my way around people. But nah, I know what you're saying. You just read that shit in a book.
Watch the first episode. I guarantee you're not gonna like it. I know you. I guarantee you're not gonna like it.
I'm gonna check it out. Maybe I won't.
I'll fly you to Baltimore. I'll buy you a crab cake when you come to Baltimore if you don't like it.
No. Go say the first thing you're gonna say.
Nah, nah, I don't care that much.
Pay for the flight. I'm there.
Nah.
All right.
Bullshit.
All right, that's it. I'm done, man. I think we're at a good spot. Just over 2 hours. Let's see. Anything else on my list? Oh, them Trump kicks, baby.
Trump. Yeah, how many times you gonna say that shit?
Nah, Trump's wild because we ain't talk about it.
We don't want to talk about it.
Nah, I want to talk about it. Trump sneaker, $399. Here's my thing with the whole Trump kick thing. They're expensive, yo. $400 for a pair of kicks, and these are the same people that are saying the economy is broke.
But it's not even just that though, man. Like there was a time.
Don't do it.
It was a very brief moment in time that I actually felt bad for those people because I could see that they were being taken advantage. They were being taken advantage of, and now I don't. You know, because it's like it's the same thing when he released the NFTs. You know, and he's charging these people $99 to get Photoshop cards of him. You know, looking like Rambo or whatever. You know what I mean? And they just keep doing it, yo. And so it's like, man. You know, and so it's like,
do you still feel bad for black people?
What do you mean?
With Joe Biden?
I don't follow.
Well, we bought into the Chuck Taylors and stomped the yard, and
like you said, I don't follow.
Yeah, you know, Kamala over here popping
Kamala.
up at the kickback. They even made these menus for what's going to happen at the inauguration dinner. Like, we was on it. I tell you, man, we got bamboozled. We got bamboozled. Politics is his big joke.
But yeah, so I think it's just him. He knows that, you know, the folks who follow me, they're idiots. They're gonna do whatever I tell them to do, and so I'm going to put these sneakers out, and I know he's not going to sell millions of them. They're $400, right? But I mean, just think if he sells, 10, 20,000 pairs. You know what I mean? That's a quick $7-8 million. So
he got fees to pay, bro.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just for people not to see it. I was telling my brother, like you talk about things like the Chuck Taylors and stuff like that, right? And so you have a guy like Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, who comes out and he's like, the Biden administration is doing this and doing that, blah 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 blah. Trying to act like he's one of the guys. If they're gonna do that, they can kiss my ass. And then he cracks open a fucking bottle of beer and starts chugging it, right? This guy wants you to believe that he's just regular Joe, country bumpkin Texas guy, right? Ted Cruz went to Harvard. Ted Cruz was a clerk for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. Ted Cruz.
What does that mean?
Ted Cruz is. Let me.
You gotta give me something better than that.
Let me round the corner. Let me round the corner. Ted Cruz's wife, who's named Heidi, is an executive at Goldman Sachs. But he wants you to think that he's a beer chugging country bumpkin just like you. Like, come on.
How's that any different than Joe eating fried chicken?
That's just food.
And waffles. You want us to think that Joe Biden be in soul food restaurants eating fried chicken and waffle. All right,
they only sell fried chicken in soul food restaurants.
All right, dog. All right. You just like us.
No, and the difference is, right?
They want us to think Kamala be walking around in Chuck Taylors all
bullshit.
The time.
That's bullshit. And
we ain't seen her not near a Chuck or a Taylor.
Here's the difference. The difference is that
not even Taylor Swift. Is she white?
The difference is that when you're on the campaign trail, at least or it used to be on both sides, and it's more now so on the Democratic side. When you went to New York City to do an interview, you stopped by what's that place? Sylvia's, I think it's called. That's the place, the soul food place. Sylvia's is what it's called. You stop by there, and then you would go have a meeting with Al Sharpton or something like that at Sylvia's. You know what I mean? Or people would go to that cheesecake place that Diddy sent them to. Juniors.
Yeah.
That was like, just like when people go to DC for campaign events, they go to the chili place.
Ben's
which
chili
I heard
bowl.
I heard it's not that good, but apparently it's like you got to go there.
It's
you know
all
what
right.
I mean? So
do they have fried chicken chili?
No.
It's different, like going to these places that are considered like staples. You know what I mean? Versus I'm chugging beer, or like the time where he wrapped the bacon around the machine gun and then rapid fired it to make the barrel heat up. And it's like, just how we like it in Texas, machine gun bacon. Come on, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Pander is a pander.
Right.
I disagree.
Just like a sin. Sin is a sin. I ain't seen
Pander.
I bet you if you ask these never mind. All right. Kamala be stomping the yard, and
he's in a fraternity or sorority.
And Ted Cruz
she's like
be chugging beer.
An active member.
I don't know if she's active. I don't know.
I mean, active meaning like her membership is active. I'm pretty sure she pays her dues every year. Is what I mean.
She probably does.
That don't mean Ted Cruz don't buy beer every Friday. He's from Texas. You don't got to be a country bumpkin to chug beer. EJ chugs beer.
I don't chug beer, bitch. I have. I occasionally have some.
Steve,
EJ, in the wintertime, we had an episode where EJ said, "Oh, you know what? I think I left a beer outside in the snow. It'll be cold for this morning."
Yo, I'll bet you my damn left nut that Ted Cruz probably doesn't even keep beer in his house.
Hey, yo, come on, man. Yo, y'all are out of control today.
You might be right. You might be right.
Where's Ted Cruz from?
Well, he was
Puerto
born
Rico?
in Canada. No,
he was born in Canada.
Yeah, his people are Cuban, but he was born in Canada. And then he didn't immigrate here. It's just his dad immigrated here from Cuba, and then he was working. I think he was working for either a company or the government or something in Canada. So he had dual citizenship. And then once he finished doing that job, he came back to the U.S. And then Ted Cruz actually had dual citizenship up until the point that he ran for president in 2016. And then he filed to.
Did he grow up in Texas?
I'm not sure. He may have, but I'm not 100% sure.
Cuban.
And his name is not even Ted, because he doesn't want to be, to the
Cuban?
people that he thinks that, and this is another thing, Doug. His name is Alejandro. But he thinks
fucking lie.
Google it.
Hold on. Ain't no way.
Yo.
But he don't want the people that he think that may be racist to call him Alejandro. So,
Nah.
He goes by Ted.
He don't come up nowhere when I type in Alejandro Cruz.
Type Ted Cruz. And then you'll see, like, on his Wikipedia or wherever it is, it'll show his real name.
Yeah, but you could have updated Wikipedia yourself.
Oh no, my bad. His name is Alejandro. Sorry, it's Rafael. My bad.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, Rafael Edward Cruz. Yeah,
that's right. This nigga said Ali.
I knew it was something Hispanic.
Yo, he is racist. This motherfucker from Miami. You cannot be super Democrat and be like Alejandro.
Alejandro.
How did you land on that?
I just knew it was a Hispanic. But yeah, Rafael is his name.
This nigga,
VP doing that is the same as Trump playing basketball with paper towels in Puerto Rico.
Holy cow, bro! This nigga said Alejandro. Wow, holy cow!
Mm-hmm. And then had the nerve to say I knew it was something Hispanic.
Yo, this guy is crazy.
Racist.
Yo, this guy's crazy.
But yeah, that's his name. Rafael Edward Cruz. Doesn't go by that at all.
Yeah,
how do you land on Ted?
Well, that's a nickname for people named Edward. So he's trying to use the middle name.
Is it?
But
he started going by Ted at the age of 13, supposedly.
I never heard of anyone being called Ted because their name was Edward. All right, whatever.
Yeah, that's what they called Edward Kennedy, John JFK's brother, Ted Kennedy. His name's Edward.
Yeah, white people be having the weirdest fucking ways that Richard is Dick. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. Richard, Dick, Theodore, they call him Teddy.
Well, that makes sense.
It only makes sense because it's been making sense because motherfuckers started to do it. That shit don't make sense. It ain't like Steve. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Vari, Tavares,
But like calling somebody named Richard Dick, that makes no sense.
Teddy.
People named John, they call Jack as the nickname. That doesn't make any sense.
Jimbo. What is Jim short for? John. What is Jim short for? Jamie or no?
James.
Jimbo.
That makes sense. Even though it's a different vowel, it still
doesn't fucking make sense. Jamie for James makes sense, but fucking how do you change Jimbo for James? That shit don't even translate. Right, people.
Yes, that's true.
All right, y'all got it, man. It's raining. I'm about to go eat some chicken noodle soup.
Or like
white people,
like Jeb Bush. Like I always wonder what Jeb is short for.
No.
Jabari.
No, that's
Jebediah would make sense.
That's what I used to think, but it's actually just all of his full name. His name is John Ellis Bush, so they call him Jeb.
All right, okay, I can accept that.
Or John something Bush. It might not be Ellis. John something Bush.
I'm not mad at him for that.
Yeah, I can get with it, but it's just
Yeah, I don't know. It's nasty.
Yeah, but that Ted and Edward don't make sense. There's not even a T in the name.
At all.
If it was Eddie, okay, cool. Eddie, I'm fine.
But you named that man Alejandro is wild.
Right.
It's in the ballpark.
No, it's not.
It's like the 4th time today you've done that.
No, it's not. Nigga said he was Elian Gonzalez.
Right.
He's Cuban. They're all, it's
Right.
all the same.
But Ted Cruz, he doesn't like migrants, and he came over in a suitcase.
Yeah.
All right,
that's
man.
nasty work, yo.
I'm good with y'all.
Nasty work. I'm out of here.
All right, VP, get us up out of here, because you're getting us canceled over here.
Like you said, he's got some name. It's like Alejandro.
Yeah,
His name is Raphael, dude.
Yeah, Ricardo.
Yo, Ted Cruz, stop fucking playing, man. Stop playing.
Right.
Get you some mofongo or something. Stop playing.
Oh man. Hey, yo, we definitely appreciate everybody rocking with us on this week's episode of the CastWorthy Podcast. As we always say, man, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to people, let them know you're thinking about them. Tomorrow's promised to nobody, so definitely reach out to your folks, let them know you love them, let them know you care about them. You can always find this podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at CastWorthy. You can also follow us on any social media by searching at CastWorthy. On Instagram, it's at CastWorthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, help grow the audience. We definitely appreciate that. Help us out with that algorithm. And with that said, man, we will see you guys next week with another fresh episode of the CastWorthy Podcast. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace.